Yo ho ho, it's time to have fun. Welcome, fellow adventurers, to From Fear to Fortune. I'm Mike Dooley, your host, speaker, and teacher, I hope. And I'm super excited about this opportunity to share with you wherever you are, watching live or watching the recording. I'm going to, if I may be so bold, guarantee you inspiration for your life right now, to pursue what your heart desires and to bring it to pass. I'm going to tell you my story of doing just that when my wildest expectations were exceeded. I've got a little picture book, blow by blow. I'm going to show you the entire journey through photographs when we get to that point, and it's not far away. But I'm also going to share with you how what I did can not only be replicated for bringing anything else into your life, but how it can be replicated to bring the dawn during the great awakening that we're now witnessing on planet Earth. Literally, this has been prophesized. We are moving from being a fear-driven society into a love-driven society. There could be no more exciting time to be alive. We knew what we were doing when we chose this big adventure at this precise time. And so for those interested, I'm going to share with you some ideas, including a program at tut.com that could perhaps even give you a model and content to follow. 3,500 people have already followed it, to perhaps even create a business model where you shine your light and reach those who have not yet been reached with the truth of their own magnificence and the infinite possibilities that stir in every one of our lives, every moment of every single day. Let's see here. I'm going to give you some points of protocol, just some general housekeeping, if you will, for this program. All right. My story could be your story, whether or not you apply it in the ways I apply it. Again, to repeat myself, if you want to open up a gardening business, pet sitting, climb the corporate ladder, heal the sick, work in education, any and every endeavor will be paralleled in my steps and exactly what you can and often must do to fully leverage the magic of the universe. There is a PDF handout. It's optional, but I've captured what I think are the most important points of the story I'm about to tell you. And I got a little challenge here for you to complete on your own. You can download it and do it digitally. You can put it on your phone. You can print it on your printer. You don't need that right now for this program. You don't have to fumble for the handout, but it is on your dashboard. Of course, it's for free. So just know that that is there. Because you signed up for this program, you have access to it for at least 1 year on your tut.com dashboard. Just FYI, you can revisit it, watch it with friends as you like. If you do indeed love the vibe today, and I'm going to pull out all of the tricks to fully entrance you in the most positive way where you have free will, I'll be sharing with you how you can continue in the zone with our Infinite Possibilities Certification Conference and its brand new, never before announced light version. Purely optional. That'll be more towards the end, but it's something that has relevance and could give you some traction in your forthcoming adventure. And there will be a live Q&A today. The estimated time of today's program, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be done in 45 minutes to an hour telling you my fear to fortune story. And then there will be the Q&A as soon as I'm done. So I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. I would recommend you jot down questions personally and privately. If they aren't automatically answered by the material, then by all means, post them in chat, and they will be relayed to my monitor where I will be able to answer your questions. Now, a word from our sponsor, the universe. Fear, like joy. Oh, yeah. Am I sharing? Okay. Yes, I am. Thank you, Ivy. Fear, like joy, usually means you're exactly where you should be. Hello, my dear friend Fear. What have you come to enlighten me upon now with your gracious visit? I learned the hard way. I thought it was all bad. I thought I was inadequate. I thought I wasn't up to the mark. I thought my dreams were huffy puffy and beyond my reach. They're just dreams riddled with fear. But no. That's not fear's function. Okay, it's here to reveal your magnificence. Like joy, it means that you're learning what you're ready to learn, about to become more than who you ever were. By the way, the greater the fear, the greater you will become. So let me tell you what brought about the dark night of my soul, and then I'll give you the picture show, the photo albums. What brought about the dark night of my soul, as the millennium was about to go from 1999 to 2000, we're talking the fall of 1999, my 10-year-old business with Mom and Andy, a t-shirt and gift business, which had soared, had become we had sold in 10 years, $10 million worth of product. The trends were declining. The writing was on the wall. I had tried every other possibility to make this business fly, and nothing worked. And we got to this point. It felt like total failure. If we don't jump ship, we're going to sink with the ship. And jumping ship doesn't mean we're quitting life. It was just like, look, this is not working anymore. I was low on money. We couldn't sell the business because it was in the red. To make things triply worse, most of my life I had been desperate and dateless. I don't mind telling you that now. It was embarrassing. You know, as I was about to turn 40, this all happened when I was late 39 years old, and 40 is like pressing me. My then long-term relationship, nearing the 10-month anniversary, that was like a world record for me, completely crashed one night when I realized my girlfriend had a boyfriend, and it wasn't me. It was that bad. There was someone else in the picture simultaneously. Horror upon horror, nausea, sick, distraught, hating myself. It must be me. No business, poor cash flow, no cash coming in, not enough money to pay my mortgage if I took this out too long. I had a small life savings, no love interest. It was like, how could this have happened to me? Was my thought, as arrogant as that might sound. I mean, I thought I was all that. I was nothing. I had nothing. I didn't know what my career would be next. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to pick things up. I remember praying at the side of my bed, as I was taught dutifully as a Catholic boy growing up. I am not of a religion, nor have I been, nor was I at that point. But if something gives you comfort, go there. And that gave me comfort to kneel at the side of my bed and pray to Almighty God. It's God when I'm scared. It's the universe when I'm happy. Like, dear God, I have no idea how I have created this situation. I knew I was a creator. I was into the metaphysics. I have no idea how I created this, but I know what I want. I'd like to have enough wealth and abundance I don't lose the home from over my head. I'd like creative, fulfilling work, whatever that could possibly be. I had already done the corporate world for 6 years with Price Waterhouse. I had already done 10 years as an entrepreneur with this t-shirt gift business. It's like, what else is there? Corporate entrepreneur. So I'd like creative, fulfilling work. I have no idea what that would be. No idea. I'd like to be surrounded by friends and laughter. And if it's not too much to ask, and I felt this was indulgent given my dire straits dangling from the end of my rope, I'd like to start traveling internationally again. Because travel was like always my thing, always my bliss, always so much fun, all over the world. I had been grounded for a couple of years because of the dire state of the business before we liquidated it. And I was certainly in no place to travel. It's like, I'd like to travel again. And I would punctuate those prayers with a, you figure it out. Please, God, figure it out. Those are the things I want. You figure it out. Relationships and all else, they'll fall into place. My priorities were those 4 things. I wanted everything else to be saved. But if you fix those, God, I'll fix the rest. Please, these are the things I wanted. I was vague and general on those 4 things, not because I was wise, although it is a wise step to make, but because I had no idea how to micromanage my manifestations at that point. Corporate, entrepreneur, creative work, what would it be? International travel, I can't afford to get a plane ticket. Friends and laughter, I had so few because I'd been a workaholic for the prior 10 years. It's like, because I was at point zero, no hope, filled with desperation, truly worried and utterly embarrassed for the state of my life at that point. It was just like, you have to figure it out because I can't. This is like the winning ticket, unbeknownst to me at the time. Don't micromanage. Don't say, this book, bestseller by year end. Hey, there's a million ways for you to have creative, fulfilling work, friends and laughter, wealth and abundance, besides that book by December 31. And maybe that doesn't jive with your other vibes. By having broadly stated desires, areas of your life, not specificities, areas, broad brush, money, love, joy, happiness. The universe has infinite wiggle room to blow your mind. And it always will when you get out of its way with trying to micromanage deadlines and who's and how's and where's and when's. And so this is what I fell into. I also did something that in hindsight made such a difference. For the prior year, I had been wondering, what's wrong with me? The business is tanking. We were in the green, now we're in the red. How am I self-sabotaging? Where am I self-sabotaging? What am I not seeing? What's wrong with me? Clearly, I'm a creator. My thoughts become things. That was one of our best-selling t-shirts. Yeah, I knew this stuff, but it failed me. Or maybe I failed it with too many constraints, as you'll see. And it's like, it dawned on me in one of my prayers, if all I do is look for what's wrong with me, as I wish for climbing out of this pit I had created, if all I do is look for what's wrong with me, to find that invisible, limiting, self-sabotaging belief, to pull it out by the roots, then I'll be free. No more cycles of brokenheartedness and scrambling for money. That's the game, right? Find it, deal with it, move on. Otherwise, you're going to repeat. If I kept on that path, as well advised as we are at times to do that, on the plane of manifestation, I would have either found what was wrong with me, but so powerful are we when we go and search for something we know is there, we'll manifest it out of thin air. Wealth and abundance, or finding out what's wrong with you. I told you, inadequate, performance anxiety, scared of my shadow, just like, I don't believe in myself. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I didn't pray enough. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I don't visualize every day. Blah, 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 blah. You'll find it or you'll make it up. And I remember just like, I give up on looking for what's wrong with me. I know how life works. I'm of God, by God, pure God, a divine creator, an eternal spark of light. My thoughts become things. My words give me wings. I knew and I know how life works. And that you're here, this is probably no foreign language to you. You get it. You're a powerful creator. You're worthy of the sun, the moon, and the stars. You were born that way. So I remember making this pivot. Stop looking for what's wrong. Drill down to the truth. Be reminded every day and act like you know that your thoughts become things. Take those steps. Go boldly. Address fear. Welcome fear. Let it reveal to you what you're missing. As you take steps in the direction of wealth and abundance, friends and laughter, creative, fulfilling work, and international travel. Go live your rocking life instead of commiserating with self-doubt and overwhelm. So this is my program. I gave you step 1. Have a broadly stated vision for where in your life you'd like transformation. As I just shared, wealth and abundance, friends and laughter, creative, fulfilling work, international travel. For you, it could be anything, but keep it broad. That's your end result. That's your GPS destination. You program that into the system. The universe is like, I know every road, I know every how, I know every who, and I'm going to get you there once you put your car in gear. Oh, car in gear. That's step 2. Number 1, destination. The universe is locked and ready to go. Step 2, put your car in gear. But how do you put your car in gear when you don't know who you are anymore? I mean, I was overwhelmed and embarrassed to be me. I was an entrepreneur for 10 years. I worked from my home or from one of my retail stores or my downtown corporate office. Suddenly, I've got time to kill on a Wednesday afternoon. What are my neighbors going to think? Literally, I worried about that. Well, I'm just regrouping. Well, we had to liquidate. Well, don't talk about it. Well, I'm retired. I remember thinking, tell them you're retired. So, step 2 is put your car in gear, even though you have no idea of how to get there, and you could not be in a better place than not knowing, which means you're going to give total latitude to divine intelligence, who already knows every roadmap and possibility. Not knowing how you're going to make the transformation happen is to your advantage. Otherwise, you'd be micromanaging, forcing, pushing. I know it's going to work. Not this book, the next book, the one after that. Maybe I should write kids' books. Maybe I should just tell the universe what you want and then assess your options for taking action, for putting your car in gear. For me, at that time in my life, my options, excuse my French, sucked. They sucked. There was no good option. There was no yellow brick road. I had no idea where to begin. Assess your options. And if they all suck, assess those too. Give yourself a deadline. I'd say a week max, if not by tomorrow morning. Give yourself a deadline. Choose the 3 best options, or if you're in my boat back at the time, choose the 3 least sucky. Choose your best 3 options, even if they suck. And once your deadline of 1 day or 1 week expires, you go. You go to that sucky job. You start that sucky business. I'll give you tips in a minute. You do those things, even though you don't know how to make it all add up. And I did take into account my financial situation. It's like, I can't go do stuff for free for very long. I'm going to have to take that job back in the realm of public accounting, or maybe in some admin finance office somewhere. They were on my sucky list. They were suckier than the things I chose. So they didn't rise to the top just yet. I had a little breathing room to kind of mess around and see what might come of the baby steps I would take. And here is where my slideshow begins. Looking at the internet, the best thing I could do to illustrate knocking on doors and turning over stones. That's what you're going to be doing. Knock on the door. Anybody home? Knock on the door. Are you my mama? Knock on the door. Is this right? Turn over stones, kind of a metaphor for looking for answers. So this is the best clip art I could find on the internet. Those are my doors. In my case, they were sucky doors, but they were better than sitting on the couch waiting for Oprah to call, because I promise you she's not calling. Not until you're out there in the world and have something to talk about. So the first door I knocked on, and this made me sick. I circulated my accountant's resume. Okay. Here's a golden nugget. Taking action breeds clarity. A clarity you could not get in any other way than for the steps you took. All right. And I got clarity here. I got sick to my stomach with the idea of floating my accountant's resume around town, including to Disney World. But I did it. Okay. I did it. I didn't just clean it up. Disney got it. They never called. They live like a stone's throw away from my house right now. Disney got it, never called. CHEP got it, never called. I sent it to the ads in the back of the Economist magazine. Really cool ads, international positions. Nobody called. The clarity I got was not only my own nausea of going back out into the world as an accountant 10 years after having left the profession, but it became clear to me that the hiring world was equally nauseous at the prospect of my return. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted me. So, remember I said pick 3 sucky paths. I stayed on this CPA path for about 3 months. You can pick 2 months or 4 months or whatever, or it might turn into something cool. Simultaneously, this is so key, I knocked on some other doors simultaneously. The other door I knocked on was because we had a t-shirt gift company selling inspirational, metaphysical, new thought phrases on t-shirts, coffee mugs, greeting cards, posters, etc. I thought back then in the year 2000, use your little tiny email database of 36 addresses. And instead of sending them the t-shirt deal of the week, which they never bought anyway, at that point in the internet, nothing was secure. And instead of trying to sell product, just send free information, inspiration. Take a little poem from one of your t-shirts, a best-selling t-shirt, and then write a little editorial under it about, what those words meant and how to apply them. It took an entire day to write the first Monday morning motivator. That's what I called them, just Mondays. An entire day. I was filled with resistance, like, oh man, why am I doing this? Oh man, I'm sure Wayne Dyer does this already and he's better than me. I'm sure Louise Hay already does this. She's killing it. It's like, why would I do it? These people didn't ask for it. I think I was a co-inventor of spam, but they did give me their email address and they wanted to hear from me. Otherwise, why would they have? So I remember kidding myself that day that took me 8 hours to write 3 paragraphs following this little poem. And I remember saying, Mike, just do one, and you never have to do it again. An entire day to write 3 paragraphs before I was finally pleased with them, about creative visualization to follow this little poem that's on your screen. And by the end of those 8 hours, I came up with a poem that said, an analysis of the poem that said, when you create images in your mind with your thoughts, you're actually creating a mold, M-O-L-D, for time and space that the elements will soon rush to fill. And when I wrote that line, I was like, whoa, I bet you Dyer never said it like that before. Ha! And I remember finally hitting the send key, and the clarity I got from taking action down this sucky path. I wasn't dreaming of being a writer. I wasn't dreaming of being a webmaster or sending out inspiration. I mean, I needed to save my life, but it was a path. It was going out into the world. And the clarity I got was, damn, you wrote good. And in the following week, people replied and they're like, oh, Mike, that was good. Oh, Mike, how do I know you? Oh, Mike, where'd you get my email address from? And Monday after Monday, the emails kept coming. And so did that feeling of elation after having written. And I remember somebody wrote, and God bless her, she said, I'm saving these, Mike. They're so good. I hope you save them too and put them in a book one day, which I did. Choose Them Wisely is the title. Anyway, so now I'm making no money. I'm distraught. My life is a wreck, but there's a teeny little light at the end of the tunnel. Am I living the life of my dreams? No. Oh my God, it was still embarrassing to be me. But now I'm making traction. Some weeks, I'll tell you honestly, there were more unsubscribes than subscribes. It wasn't all roses, but there was something here. And after 3 months of circulating my accountant's resume and then simultaneously seeing this work, I was like, I'm going to stop circulating the accountant's resume and double down. And so that was the next door I knocked on. Instead of Tut.com being a defunct t-shirt company, it became Tut's Adventurers Club. That was our homepage. And the drums from Jumanji, the movie, played when people landed on it. Dun, 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 for the adventure of life. And I fleshed it out. I learned a little bit of coding, not much. I used Microsoft Front Page, which was a software that's discontinued to create web pages. I came up with a little shop, and I got credit card enabled. so that people could buy the last few t-shirts that hadn't liquidated, but almost nobody bought anything. I also did an Ask Mike forum. Hey, I'm the guy who writes the emails. You got a question about life, dreams, or happiness? Just don't ask about my life and I'll try to answer. Nobody asked any questions. So I asked the first few as if I was someone else and got the ball rolling. I also learned about affiliate marketing. You create free e-cards. This still goes on today. You create free e-cards using my brother's art from the t-shirt days with my poems about living your dreams. And they're free, but when somebody sends one to a friend, the confirmation page has a banner link from United Airlines or Bank of America, get a credit card. And if anybody clicks those links, I would get paid like $35. The people who taught me about this were making $20,000 a month in the year 2000 through affiliate marketing, which is like a brand new device on the internet. I spent the next 3 months sending out weekly emails and fleshing out this website, getting credit card enabled, I was like happy dancing. I found my path. $20,000 a month, I could live with that. Meanwhile, around the second or third month, focusing on e-cards and the website, the internet bubble infamously burst. Everything came crashing down. I never made more than $100 from my affiliate sales. And it was like, well, now what do I do? Well, I was continuing to knock on multiple doors. Oh, I didn't tell you about the last little circle on the page there. Community. I had taken a free template for creating a dating website. I stripped it of all dating references and just said, find like-minded thinkers who subscribe to the emails. Make a friend. I lost track of how many people told me they met and got married at the Little Tut community in the early 2000s. I think the only person who tried as hard as he did to get a date on that site but could not get a date was me. Kid you not. So there's a tiny light at the end of the tunnel. I need to take more action, never stop taking action. And I remember asking myself, and definitely talk to yourself and ask big questions. If I'm enjoying teaching through the written word about the nature of reality, and by the way, those emails eventually morphed into dailies and then into notes from the universe. If I like doing that but get paid zero, what do people do in the world to make a living based on teaching inspiration? And right away it came to me, professional speakers. They get paid anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 to $100,000 per 45-minute keynote speech to corporate audiences. Professional speakers make boatloads of money doing the same thing as me, but instead of written, spoken. The problem was I was terrified. I can't tell you how scared I was of speaking to an audience. It had never gone well in my life to that point, neither in accounting or anywhere else. Sometimes I'd just go blank and have to sit down. That happened. So I joined Toastmasters. I knocked on that door. I'm sending out the emails. I'm learning affiliate marketing. I'm fleshing out the website. I'm writing to cute girls, not getting a date. Once a week in the evening, I would go to a Toastmasters club. Consider it yourself. To gain experience about crafting a little speech and delivering it in front of a live audience. I shook like a leaf on a tree, delivering my icebreaker, the first speech. The requirement was 4 minutes. Talk about yourself for 4 minutes. That was eternity. When I talked about myself for those 4 minutes, I told a little story about how my thoughts become things. Because you need to have content. And my passion was metaphysics. That's why I was knocking on these doors. Assess your passions. What could you possibly do? Well, I love metaphysics, but I don't want to write for a living. I love metaphysics, but I don't want to speak. Step 2 of manifesting is take action, even if it's down sucky paths you do not like. Just choose the least sucky. So I took this step down a path that I didn't want to go down because I was going to lose my home. And so I started speaking metaphysics. I shook like a leaf on a tree. I read my first and my second speeches word for word. Never saw that before at a Toastmasters club. Toastmasters.org. Go there. Not now, later. Consider becoming a member. No matter what your career, being confident in front of an audience is powerful. So I shook like a leaf on a tree. I wondered if people could see my heart. It was pounding so hard. Literally wondered if people could see that vibration. It was beating that fast. My mouth went dry. My knees were knocking in front of 12 people for 4 minutes. The clarity I got, I'd spent 2 weeks writing that speech. I wrote a killer speech that I use parts of to this day, 26 years later. And the audience didn't care I was scared. They heard every word, nor did they know where my life was at the time, or it probably wouldn't have been so well received. Who's this loser? What does he know? So I kept giving speeches. I entered contests. I went on and on. I started wondering, how do I take the next step? Somebody told me Rotary clubs, they're everywhere in the world, Google them, Rotary clubs meet weekly. And every meeting at every club, in every city, on every continent, has a guest speaker from the community. My first Rotary had 70 people. This was horrible. I was so scared. And what do they care about thoughts become things? Very little. I told them about creative visualization. They looked out the window. Near my 10-minute allotted time, the president of the club literally tapped his watch, eye to eye with me. Well, Mike, we so appreciate you coming by today. Great to know what others near us are doing out there in the world. Very inspirational speech, but we need to move on to our business meeting. They cut me off. My only revenge was to look for other Rotary clubs and torture them. And so in the following year, while I dabbled with the website, sent out emails, etc., I gave a speech a month to 12 different Rotary clubs. And every one was as unappreciative as the first, except for one member in the 12th club. A year later, I was so desperate for my life. That's why I kept doing it. This was the brightest glimmer of hope I had. One member at the end of the 12th meeting came up to me and said, Mike, you were speaking to me today. I so needed to hear what you delivered. And then she said, Mike, this really isn't your audience. And I remember thinking, I know, it's obvious. Like, who wants to hear rainbows and unicorns, creative visualization? She's like, Mike, I'm on the board of a local Unity church, and we are looking for a guest speaker when our minister goes out of town in 2 months. I'm sure they will say yes if you're okay with speaking at a Unity church. And I was not. I was like, no churches. I did that. I grew up in this arena, and I don't believe anything that they believe. And I thank you. But she's like, Mike, you don't know Unity, do you? And I was like, it's a church. She said, Mike, Unity is the most liberal, free-minded, loving place you could ever go. They don't recognize Jesus as a being. They recognize Jesus for his teachings, and they revere Jesus, but it's not like typical religion. She said, Mike, they will eat up every word you say. I was in no position to decline at that point. My life was still in a tailspin. I said yes. I worked on making my 10-minute speech 25 minutes because they wanted it to be that long. I memorized every word of a 25-minute speech. The days leading up to it, I don't think I slept for 4 days. I was so scared because they said there'll be hundreds of people there, hundreds, plural. They underestimated. There were 300 people there. Unity Church of Christianity, Michael Dooley, Thoughts Become Things. That was my Toastmasters icebreaker. That was my best-selling t-shirt. I was speaking about my passion, metaphysics. And I urge you to assess when you're defining the paths you take, which is the most likely to perhaps one day go in that direction, okay? And by going in that direction, you'll gain clarity and you'll have new ideas that'll lead to other ideas. A teaching point of mine is the road you start out on is never the road you arrive on. The road you start out on is never the road you arrive on. Just like GPS navigation, I'll start out on Sunset Boulevard and somehow I'll end up on A1A Key West, baby. But to get to A1A Key West, baby, I got to start out on the wrong road. That's overwhelming and demoralizing when you know there's a universe conspiring on your behalf that loves and adores you. Right? Like, why would I go down the wrong road? The universe loves me. Oprah's calling. It's like, no, you got to start out with where you are and what you have. And it won't compare to where you dream of going. But you still got to go. And then the road gets better. You have new ideas. You're infused with creativity. Doors slam in your face and then new ones open. It's like, it's unbelievable how the miracles appear that you never could have anticipated because you're constantly in motion and you haven't lost sight of your end result, your destination, wealth and abundance, friends and laughter, creative, fulfilling work, etc. It was unbelievable. Those crazy unity people in a church laughed so much at my jokes, at my attempted humor, and at things I still don't know why they laughed at, that my 25 minute speech turned into 39 minutes. I had to stop and pause, laugh with them, stop and pause, always fearful that that would break my train of thought in the memorized speech that I was giving. But guess what? I always came right back to the point I left off when they started laughing and rolling down the aisles. Those crazy people gave me a standing ovation. I couldn't believe it. Then they waited in the Florida heat, like all 300, it felt like, in a line to thank me for coming by and giving that talk that day. And that's the first time now, probably a year and a half down sucky paths, I thought, that's it. I found it. Nothing more exciting than having given a well-received talk. Nothing worse than having a big talk around the corner. But once that's done and it's under your belt, there's nothing better. Oh, baby. I was like, I could do this. I could do this. Oh my God. I was electrified, only to be sobered driving home and looking at the check they gave me. I had a stipend of $100. And I'm like, Mike, you're delusional. First you write for free. Now you're speaking for free. Oh my God, what happened to you? What happened to your life? Well, I got bit by the bug. When you don't have a gig, you want a gig. I wanted to be surrounded by professionals. So it turns out that the American National Speakers Association has chapters all over the country. Every country has their version. You can go as a self-invited paying guest, I learned. And once a month, they do a workshop delivered by a world-class speaker to an audience of professional speakers. They were so good. I was blown away. Every month I would go. Every month I would salivate. I was just, this is what I'm going to do. Oh my God. But I was still scared. Making that bridge leap from a Unity church to a professional gig is overwhelming. And so I reached out to the president of the Central Florida chapter and said, hey, Mike, your name is Mike. I'm Mike. You speak for a living. I'd like to speak for a living. Could I buy you a few beers and you can give me some tips of the trade and how I can actually go pro? And he was like, sure. Bought him a bunch of beer, spent the whole night talking about affiliate marketing because these pathways were unfolding concurrently, simultaneously. So just before the internet bubble burst, when I was to find out my affiliate marketing was a waste of time, I was going to NSA meetings and having beer with the president of the chapter. We ended up spending the whole evening me telling him how to get into affiliate marketing, where to get the links, the banners, credit card enabled, what software to use, how to do the coding. And I drove home thinking that was a waste. But it's just as well, because I was still terrified of speaking. And I thought, it was still a pipe dream, like, whatever, universe, whatever. I learned a valuable lesson here. Sometimes knocking on one door, timidly, scared to death, that you did not even want to knock on. I mean, I wish the ship of my dreams would have landed and I could have abandoned this whole speaking idea, because really I hadn't gotten anywhere but one speech that went well, but like speaking in front of a corporate audience scared me to death. I was like, but it never came. That ship never came. Sometimes knocking on one door you did not even want to knock on. that was perched upon a sucky path that never did open because you knocked on it, another door that's really cool that you didn't know existed flies open. About 4 days after I bought Mike a bunch of beer, he called me. President of NSA Central Florida called me, said, Mike, you got a database of 3,000 people? I got a database of 3,000 people who have sat in my audiences. Mike, my speaker friends have taught me how to launch an audio program online. Do 1 hour per month for a year, sell it as a subscription. And if anybody wants to buy just one recording, well, it's triple the price, or buy the whole series in advance. He said, Mike, do you want to be my partner? I'll interview speakers and we can both just share and sell to our respective audiences. I could not believe this guy with his experience and his stature would ask me to be his joint venture partner. I said, heck yeah. I said, what do we call it? And he said, I don't know, come up with some names. I'll try to do the same. I came up with, after making lists and lists and lists of titles and subtitles, Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Living Your Dreams. And he was like, man, that sounds good. I was like, yeah, I need to hear it for my life. And he said, Mike, make a sell page that tells viewers what's in it for them. And I was like, that sounds kind of salesy. And he reminded me of where I was in my life at that time. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I offered a money back guarantee. I launched to my little audience. He launched to his. In one night, I sold $5,000 worth of Infinite Possibilities and had not recorded one word. I called him with the exciting news. He didn't believe me. He literally did not believe me. I said, well, how many did you sell? He said, none, not yet. And I literally did not believe him. And then he bowed out. He said, Mike, you just do it yourself. You don't have to share that with me. Just do it your own. I was simultaneously thrilled out of my mind and utterly terrified. Like, where do I begin? He said, Mike, go buy a Sony Walkman mini disc player. Put blankets up around your room. It'll muffle the sound. Script it out and go. So I fleshed out the table of contents. The first chapter was called Thoughts Become Things. It still is. It's still available. The second chapter was about beliefs, emotions, intuition, the magical universe. Fleshed out 12 chapters, and once a month I did a recording. Each one, I thought, by the time it was replicated, sucked. But after I sent it, people would reply immediately, that was my favorite one. That was the best one. Oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this. Thank you, Mike. We can be our own worst critic, obviously. So suddenly, I'm sending out these free emails that have always been free with no ads, no nothing. I started putting a little line in there. Hey, if you want my audio program and you missed the boat, it's not too late to catch up. And I started selling in the Notes from the Universe with one little ad, stumbling upon what Harvard Business School says is the dream business model for the world today. A free service on the internet, offering free content, which was my emails, Notes from the Universe by then, and having another option for people to buy up, try something out. For those who are interested, for those who are not, no problem. They still get the free emails. I fell into that before it was a known business model. And I was already credit card enabled. The money was in the bank. I then exhausted my list almost. So I started getting my own affiliates. Good thing I did those failed e-cards, because then I learned the whole process. And I went to people who had big mailing lists and said, hey, you sell my audio program for $140, I'll give you 70. I had big lists advertising my program all over the World Wide Web. It was unbelievable. So then in my daily ads for Notes from the Universe, instead of just selling Infinite Possibilities every day, I would give people a day off. And some days I said, hey, I'm speaking at Unity of the Palm Beaches in 3 Sundays, or I'm speaking at Unity Church in St. Petersburg, Florida, or Unity Church in Jacksonville. I would periodically post my next Unity Church gig, thinking people getting the emails would be so impressed the next day when I advertise Infinite Possibilities, they buy it. I don't know if anybody opened that door on the other side or not, but something else happened. Again, another door flew open that I never could have dreamed of. Dear Mike, my wife and I love your Infinite Possibilities. Bravo. And we are enjoying your Notes from the Universe. We have a downline in Herbalife, direct marketing, and we're having our annual meeting in a couple of months. What would it take to have you speak for us? By the way, we live in Holland. I was like, no way. I called my friend who bailed on me. I said, what do I charge? And he said, well, you're a beginner low, but it's international. You get a perk. International travel, baby. You get a bonus the further you leave your home. You're going to go all the way to Europe, you get a bonus. He said, Mike, ask for 5,000. I told them my fee's 5,000. They said, you're hired. I said, oh no. How long do you want me to talk? I'm totally terrified. They said, well, it's a long way. We think at least 4 hours. It's like 4 hours. I can't memorize a 4-hour speech. I was totally filled with butterflies. It was like, this is the beginning of the end. I mean, I would think that. I was negative a lot of times, while I would also simultaneously visualize. My workaround: deliver it in Orlando, Florida first to your own audience at a friend's hotel. Book the ballroom, okay? And tell Notes from the Universe subscribers. They'll all be your friends. They're already appreciative of your work. And I started telling people, hey, come hear me talk about Infinite Possibilities live. First time ever, Orlando, Florida. I forget what I had the courage to charge, probably $40 or $50 or $60. And I threw in lunch for everyone. And I thought, very few people will show up. I'll kick the tires. I'll book it a week before I go to Amsterdam. And I'll have that under my belt before I speak to 110 people in Holland. Regretfully, somewhat at the time, almost 40 people signed up in Orlando. I was like, that's 40 people too many. I was happy with 4, including my mother, brother, and sisters. Like, I don't need many more. 40 people. 2 ladies ran up to me at the coffee shop in the Lake Buena Vista Hilton Hotel, just on the property of Disney World. I was stirring my coffee, terrified of the day about to begin, wearing a suit. And they're like, you're Mike Dooley. You're Mike Dooley. We're so excited. Last night we flew in from San Francisco. And I looked at them like, why would you have done that? Like, the pressure to perform was excruciating. I think everyone in the audience knew I was terrified for those 4 hours, but I could write a good workshop. They had a great time. They were thrilled with the day. I went on to Amsterdam, same exact thing. They were thrilled. I was terrified. They didn't care. They were thrilled. Then I get home from Amsterdam and there's an email, dear Mike. They didn't even know I was doing a private event in Amsterdam. Mike, we saw you spoke in Orlando and you're always at these Unity churches. What would it take to have you speak in London, England? I'm like, London, England? I'm a British passport holder. I was like, wow, well, my fee's $5,000. And this time I didn't give them free airfare. The other one, I used frequent flyer miles. I was so timid. I was so not confident. I said, you got to pay airfare and $5,000. They're like, you're hired. And then they said, Mike, why don't you sell it to your audience as well? Make it a public event. They didn't pay their deposit to fast forward. I called my friend. He said, speakers get burned all the time. Cancel the event. I'm like, I've already bought my tickets, and so have some of my Notes from the Universe subscribers. Quick recalibration. I called the Holiday Inn in one of the Holiday Inns in England where it was to be held. And I said, look, I don't know if you've been told, but the sponsor of this event is not returning phone calls. And, I think the event is semi-canceled. And they had not heard. They were really pissed at me. I was like, I'm the messenger, dude. And I said, look, what was the deal? And maybe I'll just take over. And they said, well, you better. And so I did. I did my own event in London, England. I never would have thought that's even possible. With the internet, I already had the hotel connection, sold tickets at my website. Again, this time it was like 60 people. Too many. Way too many. I was a wreck. It went off like gangbusters. I came home. No more emails, no more invites. I remember, universe, don't do that to me. When you don't have a gig and you want one, you want one. When you have one, you hate it. You hate life. It sucks. You have to speak to another audience. That's how I used to be. Then the light went on, months and months and months, waiting for the next email invitation. It was like, Mike, you did Orlando yourself and you did London, England yourself. Nobody cares who invites you. Just look at where your subscribers are. Pick a bunch of dates on the calendar and call it a world tour. So I went to Los Angeles. I went to Toronto. I went to Geneva, Switzerland. I went to Sydney, Australia, and Auckland, New Zealand. Uh, I went to Hawaii. I went to 24 cities and a world tour that took me 24 months. I didn't do them all at once, of course, but I would leave every third or fourth weekend, do 2 cities, come home. 3 or 4 weeks later, go out and do 2 cities. My pace, my schedule, where I wanted to speak to Notes from the Universe subscribers. That is the most unbelievable business model ever. Ever. It's a warm audience, as they say. It was shocking. Then I get an email. Dear Mike, my sister and I love your Infinite Possibilities audio program, which I was still in the middle of creating. And we love the Notes from the Universe. We live in Australia. We're in the TV film production business, and we're about to create a documentary on the law of attraction. And we'd like to invite you to Chicago, where we will be for 1 week, so that we can interview you for possible inclusion. I was really suspicious. I was like, really? And how much do you want me to pay? No, you're not going to pay anything. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, come on. What's the secret? She said, you should know. It's the law of attraction. I was like, no, it's thoughts become things. But I'm not going to argue. It's your budget. I said, sure, I'll do it. No one could imagine how that movie would blow up internationally and then turn into a book that double blew it up. It was, if you know and remember, back in the early 2000s, that thing was just unbelievable what it did. And my part was only a couple minutes. I was crushed that they only used that much, but it didn't matter in the end, did it? Then all the publishers who had turned down the audio program for Infinite Possibilities, because I sent them all the script that I had written for the 12-hour audio program, Infinite Possibilities, all the ones that had said no, they're all like beating a path to my door because I was one of the featured teachers in The Secret. I settled upon Simon & Schuster, got a humongous 6-figure advance. And the book, which is a replica of the audio program that nobody would publish just a few years earlier, debuted on the New York Times bestseller list thanks to my subscribers. It was unbelievable. And it's actually what got me sent to jail. The Orange County, Florida jail system. Doing the book signing tour for the release of Infinite Possibilities, I was in Portland, Oregon, and I came across a homeless woman. You may have heard this story. It's been on my website for 10 years. I gave her $20 and was walking away thinking, you're just going to give her $20? That's like giving her a fish, but not teaching her to fish. It turned out to be a homeless girl, a teenager. I was horrified. Like, I remember thinking, you have power. Don't you know life is magical? Your thoughts become things. And maybe she likes that. And I'm not criticizing that lifestyle. But she was clearly homeless, reading a book in the streetlight with a dog beside her as I went out for a walk on my way to be picked up for my presentation in Portland. By the time I got home, really having been hit in my heart, I thought by then everybody knew about the law of attraction. The Secret blew up. Everybody's reading Infinite Possibilities. Like, this girl didn't know she was powerful. She's loved, that she's adored, that she was born worthy. By the time I got home, I hatched a plan, and my team and I called shelters, prisons, halfway houses, anywhere we could, and offered for me to give free talks on a regular basis to their clients. They call them clients. And that way I could give back more than just speaking to typically paying audiences. I mean, it seemed outrageous. At first, nobody said yes. To such a degree, I was like, well, it's a good idea. And then one day, Angie came running into my office. She said, Mike, Orange County Jail just called. And I was like, I'm innocent. And she said, no, Mike, they're calling about the program, the Infinite Possibilities program that you offered to deliver. This is months later. I was like, yeah. And she said, you have an appointment to see Officer Chuck Danner. And I was like, oh my God. And that's how I got sent to jail. Oh my gosh. I went every week for almost 2 years. At the end of the first year, I received, and this is a humongous jail system, volunteer of the year. And I'll tell you, these guys, I was only allowed to talk to guys. They would gather around me, 70 of them, in a group of 70. That was kind of the self-improvement wing. They had volunteered and had good behavior. They could go. They were led by Norberto Perez, a dear friend to this day. And he said, you can talk to this group, but don't desert them. And I was like, I promise, I'll stick around. And so for running 2 years, I went every single Tuesday morning. These guys would gather around me, all 70 of them. They'd be like, Mr. Dooley, I never heard anything like that. Mr. Dooley, where did you get this? Like, I was the only guy preaching in the jail without a religion. They were waiting for me to call them sinners. They were waiting for me to say, you must seek redemption. I was like, you're born worthy. You're already forgiven. You just need to have a dream and understand your powers. Work with God, work with the universe, take baby steps in the dark down sucky dirt paths. I didn't tell them the sucky path part. And I was like, thy will shall be done. Oh man, the most appreciative audience ever. And they would tell you in 2 seconds, I'm here because I made a mistake. Humble, sweet, break your heart. But giving them hope changed my life. To such a degree, I one day walked with Norberto as he was escorting me to this private section, guards and watchtowers and guns everywhere in the jail premise. And I was like, Norberto, I'm really enjoying this, and you don't know it, but I have an email following, and I've got a book, and he knew I was in The Secret. He showed the guys The Secret before I even showed up. He's like, you're the guy from The Secret. I'm like, yeah, perfect, my guy. I said, Norberto, I want to make this program replicable so that it's not limited on me showing up. I want to license people royalty-free for life, my material, my stories, my analogies, my everything, so that they can go out and reach people that have not been reached wherever they live, however they want, for a fee, on a stage, making lots of money, or they can go do it in a jail or a shelter like me. And I told Norberto, he's like, you're not ready, Mike. And I was really offended. He's like, you're not ready. But do it anyway. Do it anyway. No one's ever ready. So he gave me some motivational talk there. And that's when at TED.com, we launched the Infinite Possibilities Certification Conference. Today, we have 3,500. This is about almost 15 years ago. 15 years ago. We were having several live conferences a year. 3,500 people in 63 countries are now certified. The book, Infinite Possibilities, with all the momentum, is now in 15 languages. I have a workbook for my certified trainers to go out there. They have royalty-free license to my material. That's one of the hardest things in the beginning. You love metaphysics. You want to impart the light and bring the dawn, but where do you begin? Hey, I could write a good speech. I could write a good workshop. I could write a good audio program. So I wrote the material. My IPPs, we call them, IP, Infinite Possibilities, my IPPs are all entitled to use my material and combine it with their own. So they might tell a thoughts become things story of their own life and tell an intuition story from one of mine. Or they can mix and match it. They integrate modalities. They bring in feng shui. They bring in life coaching. They bring in whatever. And again, many of them do it for a fee. They do it to make money out of a business model. Ain't no shame. That's what I do to this day. Many of them do it for free. Some do it online just with friends. Some do it in their living room just with friends. But we have 3,500 folks doing this. Well, my star didn't stop rising, and I crossed paths with Louise Hay. Louise Hay from Hay House Publications. That's her there. I was in San Diego at a Hay House event. I became a Hay House author with like a 4 or 5 book deal in the beginning. I still got a new one coming out this December. We would have these events at their I Can Do It's that they would have all over North America. You see that guy? That's not me. That's not me. That's the Jumbotron. That's me. Yeah, I was scared to death. That was Edmonton, Canada. There was 3,500 people in the audience. But once you start giving the same talk again and again, in many cases, it's really easy and really fun. Really fun. I mean, it was just like it snowballed. It kept going, kept going, kept going. Gosh. When my first world tour ended, it brought about World Tour 2, World Tour 3, World Tour 4. I've spoken in 145 cities, most of which you see on that list 3 and 4 times, sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 times, like London, England, Dublin, some of the easier ones to get to. I talk about, what did I want when I was praying to God? Wealth and abundance, friends and laughter, creative, fulfilling work, international travel. It's like, check, check, check. And then the last box, the whole enchilada. Oh, and it didn't stop. I was in Mexico speaking with Don Miguel Ruiz, author of The Four Agreements, to an audience that had headsets on for translation. This little chica didn't speak English and I didn't speak Spanish, but she was in the audience. Let me tell you, not speaking the other's language is like solid gold in a relationship. So we got married. And when I thought that boat had passed, we started a family. And I pinch myself to this day. The surprises have not stopped. There's more in the kettle than I can even share. But I followed my passion. I had broadly defined end results, destinations, wanting transformation. I got busy on sucky paths. It'll work no matter what you now want. And if, like me, you get jazzed up speaking on the truth of reality, that we are all sparks of the divine, for whom all things are possible, pushed on to greatness with supernatural powers, you become an even better student of that stuff when you start teaching it. So maybe there's something in this Infinite Possibilities certification program that we offer at tut.com, and you could become part of our family. I'll tell you a little bit more on how in just a moment. My thoughts became things, but you know who else's thoughts become things? Never forget it. Never let go. Never give up. Never judge a book or a journey by its cover, because for me, it was all bad. And then one day I look back. I was like, okay, I'm out of the storm now. Everything's rocking. Why did my train crash back at the end of 1999? And you know what the answer is? There was no train wreck. It just appeared to be a train wreck because the train of my life had stopped. Why? So that bigger dreams of mine that could not be reached with the track I was then on could come true. That so-called train wreck was the beginning of the biggest dreams of my life coming true. This is how it works. Everything is a setup for greatness, even setbacks. So on the handout are the key 8 points that I would most like you to take away from this. I'm not going to go through them now. All right, I can bring that back because I know how this game works. All right, I've been to a few rodeos. Hold on. Oh boy, I never did that in any of my rodeos. But I know how to fix it because I'm a professional speaker. Hang in there. Let's go back. Oh, share screen, Mike. Share screen. It is shared. All right, so you see it. I'm back. Those are the points. I'll let you read those in the handout that I told you about so that I have time to answer your questions. We're almost there. Let me tell you, however, a little bit about our Infinite Possibilities certification. 15-year-old program, 3,500 people. Until today, it's always been $1,000 or more for 4 intense classroom days spanning a weekend, Thursday to a Sunday. Guest speakers, a huge team of volunteers. It's $1,000 and you're good to go. But this is what's new and what made me want to let the world know it's available. So I've invited you to this talk. brand new, never before LITE version. Okay. Here's the old version. It's $1,000 unless you get the early bird discount, which is only a couple of weeks. Our live, we're still doing this. September, we're doing it. The early bird ends July 22nd. But this is the news. This is huge. I was asking, how could we reach more people through having more trainers? And since everything is digital now, and we deliver the live event online, so you can do it from your home, but you have to be there those 4 solid days. What if we let people go at their own pace through watching earlier recordings? They still have to do the entire program. It's 4 days, but they can do it at their own pace. They can do it on the days or the evenings that they want. And because it's going to cost us a lot less, it can cost them a lot less. And so that is why I hereby announce the creation of our light certification. Not only is it barely not even $300, but there's an early bird discount that ends on Friday. Light early bird discount ends March 27th. And then it's going to jump up to $297. But hey, $100 is $100. I know what difference that can make from my own harrowing dark night of my soul. So if it resonates with you and you're looking that this might be a business model to be a paid life coach, to be a paid professional speaker, or to be of service in your community, the world needs it right now. There are so many who have not yet been reached. We think everyone gets it now. No, nobody gets it. The most of the world has no idea of their individual personal power to manifest whatever they want. But more will know because of our trainers, and you could be one of those trainers. And you can apply all of this wisdom to other pursuits in your life. When you dive deep and you see all the little nuances and ideas that is included in our curriculum, you'll get the workbooks, the main, you have to go buy the workbook. It's like $2. You have to buy the paperback, which is the New York Times bestseller. That's like $8. But this program is now as low as $297. Oh, I misspoke. Without the early bird, it's $397. With the early bird, it is $297. I hope I said that right. Trust the PowerPoint, not me. If to sign up, it's on the dashboard right now. So look beneath this video box and you're going to see the buttons to press. And let me add this: 100% money back guarantee for 30 days. If you're like, oh, this is not all that. Oh, this is a rookie program. Oh, this is not suitable for me. If that's how you feel, 100% refund. 100%. You got like nothing to lose, the world to gain, your power to command. Let me wrap this with a word from our sponsor and then Q&A. The secret behind miracles is that the one performing them begins without any knowledge whatsoever of exactly how they will succeed. Yet still they begin. When you move, I move the universe. OMG. And this is the same for a great big journey like I've took. I couldn't see where it would come from. I didn't know what miracles would be orchestrated on my behalf, but I started anyway down sucky dirt paths. I say dirt path because you know what leads to the diamond mine? A dirt path. And it's the same for our dreams. So there you go. I'm about to do Q&A. Let me come back in 1 second, take a quick drink break, tea break, whatever break you want. And then within 3 minutes, I'll be ready to answer your questions. Hang in there. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully that fit your schedule as well as mine. And I'm eager to answer your questions. So, questions about the program would be ideal, but you can ask a question about anything else at all. And the way you ask a question is put it in the chat, and Ivy in behind the curtains is going to post those questions on the screen. So I will not be bringing you up. You can ask anonymously, although people will see the chat. So it's your call. All right. First question is, Mike, do you still get nervous? I remember I was a Toastmaster for 7 years. For a long stretch, I was a member of 2 clubs. Twice a week, I would go to Toastmasters. And I remember during those entire 7 years thinking, will these nerves ever go away? They did. There may be a tinge of excitement before I get going. For online events, almost not even a tinge. Really easy. There could be 20,000 people, and I've done that many times, where not a single butterfly. So, but as far as live audiences, often a little bit more nerve-wracking, but no. I'm at a point now where I love it. I love it. Thank you for the question. I'm terrified of being seen even at the day job I love. Is there a process or advice you can share to help me work through this fear? Oh, I would just drill down to truth. There is a truth. You are a spark of the divine, an eternal being. Do some journaling. Ask yourself, why do you feel afraid? Ask yourself, what is there to be afraid of? And sometimes the process of attempting to answer that, combined with continuing to show up, will eventually erode that fear. But by drilling down to truth, surrounding yourself with some really good books about your power, your magnificence, your divine origins, that for me is the ticket to just like, I remember I used to write, why do I feel so heartbroken over this cheating girlfriend of mine when I know I'm a being of light? But just going through that process, not necessarily coming up with the perfect answer, gradually made me feel better. So the most important thing is continue living anyway. But you can mitigate the fear and perhaps hasten its departure through journaling, creative visualization, deep dives into awesome books that make you dance happy with happy feet. Keep going, keep going. You'll get it. What happens after we complete the course? You evidence to us that you have taken the course. And this is what we do. Out of about, I don't know how many hours the course is, say 8 times, it might be 24 to 36 hours. But scattered throughout the recordings are certain secret words. And you need to jot those down to evidence that you took them. Once you do that, you submit your with your signature, and you agree that you, as I do, that you can use my information royalty free for life. But when you do, you will footnote it. So when you sign the licensing agreement and give evidence that you took the course, you then become certified. So you just take the course, no tests. We have other designations, people who have actually gone out and deliver it. Those are our trailblazers. Speak to 6 people for 6 hours and you become a trailblazer, and a few other designations as well. But the milestone is just taking that first step, from which everything else is a lot easier. Next. Did you have to heal any trauma or wounds from your upbringing on your path? Oh, good question. Do you think that can interfere with manifestation? Thank you. You know, a lot of our healing, in my view, becomes automatic as you're moving through life and you're discovering that you're not alone, that you're powerful, that there's magic to count on. That heals. And Lisa Royal Holt, an author who channels Sasha, she specifically said, to raise your vibration and kind of ascend to higher levels of awareness, while embodied, It's kind of like you need to get through this little porthole at the top of the stairs and bring your suitcase, but the suitcase won't fit. You got to go through your suitcase. What you're referring to here is trauma or wounds. And I said, I don't know what my wounds are, my trauma. I know I had some. I'm sure I had some. And she said, it's a quantum healing, Mike. You don't have to pick up every article in your suitcase and fully examine it and say, aha, I found it. Just your heartfelt desire to heal, be whole, to know the truth and move with it, followed with baby steps in that direction, that begins the healing process. And to answer more pointedly, have I dealt with trauma and wounds? I'm sure I've done a lot of healing, but exactly why I was so terrified, exactly why I've always felt so inadequate, exactly why I was the imposter in my own mind when I first started doing this, I don't know why. I don't know that it was an event or an accumulation or a past life, but I was willing to see the silliness of feeling vulnerable when I'm a gladiator of love and joy. And I have demonstrated my true nature over all these years by walking the talk and going out there, even though I was terrified at Toastmasters for 7 years. I don't know what I fixed, but something fixed. So you don't have to pin the tail on the donkey. And no, to answer the other part of your question, working with trauma and wounds, because some people know what it was, and they still remember it vividly with great torment. I do not think that would slow you down in any way, shape, or form if you concurrently moved with your dreams. Okay. The pivot I made was thinking I couldn't make progress or start anything new until I figured it all out. And that's what I said, that's going to just take me nowhere. Instead of looking for what's wrong with you, start doing what you know to do and start living this stuff. And here's the magic about taking action in the direction of transformation and dreams coming true. Your stuff is going to show up either as fear before an audience or self-doubt, or when it shows up, you see it. And if you move in spite of it, you're saying, I'm bigger than you. And it still follows you along. Mommy, follow me. Mommy, wait for me. But I think that is how I have been able to heal, undoubtedly, unknown past trauma, by just feeling the fear and doing it anyway, while journaling, while visualizing, while meditating, not to any great degree. I'm no maestro. I don't even have a ritualized practice anymore other than creative visualization. But, I dabble with journaling and other things, and it wouldn't hurt you at all to have a professional, to work with somebody while showing up and going out. Next question. Where is the live training to be held in September? Oh, we'd love to have you there. It's going to be September in your living room or wherever you want to power up your computer, because it too will be virtual. But you will have a start time and end time. I will be live. The team will be live. Norberto from Orange County Jail is part of these conferences. You'll get that full experience with the light version, but it won't be live. You'll get all the teachers, trainers, including me, but it'll be recordings of earlier live presentations. But both the light and the live are virtual online programs that you do from wherever you're most comfortable. Next question. Mike, what is the payback to doing the program? You become an expert in the field. You teach best what you most need to learn. You make friends. You find your strengths. You improve your weaknesses. If you decide to put a business model on it, your manifestation could include paid gigs, writing a book, other things like that, your own coaching program. The payback, just in case you're talking strictly financial, is entirely what you make. You can go to our community and our discussion forums. Hey, has anybody ever taken this to nursing homes? Hey, has anybody ever launched a life coaching program using this material? Hey, we have a big community, and there are people who have taken this material down many paths. So in that way, you will be very supported. And so it'll be what you make it, and it'll just be your events. You determine the price, you collect the money, you keep it all, and you become a pioneer. Next question. What to do when you have no idea what your purpose is? Well, I know a little bit about your purpose. You're here to be happy. You're here to live in joy. And you could well follow that up. Some might say, well, I don't know at this stage what even makes me happy anymore. Then look back at your childhood, your earlier years. There were times that you felt drawn a certain way, excited about a certain something. Go have at it again. Or some may say, well, I know I want to be happy. I agree with that. But how? What's your best guess? What's your best guess for finding joy? Would it be new friends, dating, getting a job, having coworkers? Might it be a hobby, a sport? Might it be serving others, serving animals? What's the best? What are the three best things? And maybe they all suck, but what are the three most likely ways that if you went down that path, it or a tangent path seem more likely to bring you joy at some point in the future than the other choices? And that's what you do, because you live in a world of miracles where you command the elements. You are all powerful, fully divine yourself. You deserve to live in joy. And also, enjoy the things that you enjoy, going for a walk, chocolate cake, in moderation, and those things. But as far as full life transformation, usually it's going to involve going out into the world where there's other people. And I know other people sometimes, depending on where you've been, it could be harrowing. Go out on the internet. You're safe. You can be at home in your underwear and they'll never know. Okay? So I wish you much joy. Next question. Do you have trainers who deliver the work in Spanish? Oh, do we? Yes. I can do English, but I am now living in a place where the language is Spanish. Oh, I'm envious. The work may be needed here. It's needed everywhere. Luz Elena is one of our trainers, and she happens to live in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And she's gotten it into the public school system and various other venues. There's already a Spanish language version of the workbook that you would be giving to your participants. You can download the workbooks by free, by the way, and print them out and hand them out. Or you can go to Amazon, where we offer them at cost. But yes, that's already been translated into Spanish. And we would love to have you in whatever country or region you're in where they speak Spanish. We're in many languages right now. We have a guy, Valu, lives in Dubai, is constantly on an airplane going to India. In the last year and a half, he has addressed, with our Infinite Possibilities material, over 6,000 students. And almost all of them have been part of various university MBA programs. I mean, everybody needs and wants this stuff. Okay, next question. Do you provide the content to share with the certification? Well, like I said, you can download the workbook. You can download in multiple languages. You can download the instructor's manual. Oh, I also make available all of my PowerPoints. So when you become certified, you have access to our resource center, and you can share with the certificate. So it's not like we say, okay, now you're certified, here's all the material, but you will know where all the material is. And you can get the book, Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Living Your Dreams, and draw from that. If you get the ebook and you know how to extract text from it, you can draw from that. If you're going to copy exactly the Simon & Schuster book, they may need to give permission as well. But if you put those ideas into your words then I think you're good. You're good. Also, many of our trainers have created their own programs and videotape them for the Thoughts Become Things section or the Belief section and made those available along with PowerPoints they created. Now, when I went into the jail, I never used PowerPoint. You don't have to use PowerPoint ever anywhere. But if you like PowerPoint and you want it, you can build your own based on mine to the degree the slides are suitable, and or other IPPEs have donated their PowerPoints as well as videos. So you can see how did they do it? How did they deliver it? It's like crazy cool. We want you to reach as many people as possible. That's why we're doing this. So we have to make it as easy as possible for you. And that's what our IPPEs have found. Next question. What if it feels like it may be too late to start over? It's never too late. Never, never, never. Oh, I don't have all the ages of many of our certified trainers, but certainly they're as old, 65, or older than I am. And it takes so little to reach those who have not yet been reached. You could deliver it to, I mean, this is a stretch, and I don't know that this is what you had in mind. But we have people delivering it to school children, and there's an I Believe in Me program developed by Rebecca Sagoda using a lot of our material for children. You could do that at any age, and you could take it into prisons or into shelters or into senior centers. And or you could approach the business angle, no matter what your age, deliver it online, and the right people show up. So there is absolutely no time when it's too late. If you're here, it's because you're supposed to be here. And I don't just mean this program, but in time and space. And so make hay, enjoy. Louise Hay was teaching on stage, the founder of Hay House Publications, the publisher, into her 90s. She didn't write You Can Heal Your Life, which was her breakout book, until she was in her 60s. Well, that's when it came out. She was in her 60s when she started this. And prior to that, she had been a Unity Church and Science of Mind Church, which is like a sister church, for many years. So she had this passion. Next question. How many hours a week do you work at promoting your business? I don't really count hours promoting. This whole hour and a half that I've spent with you could be considered promoting, because we'd love to get more trainers in our program because we know the good work it does in the world. So that does become part of my mission, to breathe new life into this and come up with new ideas. But I never quantify it like that. Even this is geared to helping other people. So how many hours a week do I work at promoting? What I did in the beginning was just send out free emails. And then I did the audio program that I put in the free emails. And then in the free emails, I told people I was going to speak at a Unity church here or there or wherever, or that I was doing a world tour event in Moscow or Istanbul. And those all count as marketing. But it's also how I had fun. It was giving me the life of my dreams. So, hey, if people don't know unless you tell them. Is that marketing? Yeah. But is it, bad? No. It's just part of doing what you're doing. So I don't have a target or a goal, and I often don't think in terms of marketing, although we do send out some emails that are to drive attention to an event or something. But, it's just kind of impulse and intuition. We decide what should be announced or not. Next question, and probably the last. What if can you upgrade from light to live when finances are available? Oh, cool question. When somebody becomes certified in either way, they're equal. Okay, it's just different process. So once you're certified, whether light or live, you're then invited once a year to come back to our live program, maybe as a volunteer, in which case you work, but it's free. You work meaning you lead breakout groups and offer support. It's not work. And you do that from your home. And when you're invited back after having become certified, I think it's like 75 or 85% discount. So if you get certified in the light program and you're enthused and your finances have improved, which is how you phrase this, and 6 months later, approximately, or the next year, you want to attend either as a student or perhaps as a volunteer, if there's space. Those are highly sought after positions. There's not always enough space for everybody. But if you just want to attend to get jazzed up again, because it's so jazzy, then you too would get the 75, 85% discount for attending a second time, the same discount an earlier live attendee would get. So we do encourage repeaters, and we always have a blast. It's like reconnecting with family to go to these live events. All right, one more question. There was one that flickered for a while right before this one. Maybe that's not fair. How can I teach my children to make the right choice, even when it is difficult and the easier option feels more appealing in the moment? By example, by example, by example. I'm thinking screen time, that's a challenge. I'm thinking, not doing their homework, that's a challenge because I've got one. But overall, as they see you live your life with high standards and optimism and dreams and action, that's going to be the kind of person they become. And there are times to give them a talk about why too much screen time is a problem or why homework might be a good idea, and put it into context and just kind of reach them with the context that will get their attention best. But they're going to get it moreover from you living your life as an example. Okay, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. And thank you in advance for all of the lives that you will touch by shining your light. Whether or not you become certified, as you go out into the world and know the truth of your power and the beauty that abounds everywhere, you will be that light. We'd love to call you one of ours, for you to become an IPPY, to join our family. The links are below. Again, Friday, the extra $100 off the $397 price, bringing it down to $297. Will no longer be available. But after that, you can still become a light member. And once, I think in 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now, the light goes away. And then we're going to be driving folks to our live event. And then in a year from now, we'll probably bring the light back on, the light edition available. It will not be, at this stage, it's an experiment. At this stage, it's not going to be perennially available. There's just this window. We're trying our light version. If it resonates with you, by Friday, you can have it for $297. For a few weeks after that, for $397, and then the only option until next year will be the live version, just to secure our own business model. So much love from Orlando. Wherever you are, your thoughts become things, your words give you wings, and you are utterly adored.